I've done the West Highland Way many times before, but I've always had a limited amount of days to complete. So this time I want to do things differently. I'm going to absorb and take time out to enjoy the journey more than ever before. I'll be wild camping and carrying all my supplies with me to complete the trail in 10 days. A distance of 96 miles. With the guidebook from Cicerone Press, I'm going to learn more about the way than ever before. Starting just north of Glasgow in the town of Mulgai and heading to the shores of Loch Lomond. Then on to the Highlands and the vast expanse of Rannoch Moore. To my final destination, Fort William, the outdoor capital of the UK. This is going to be my West Highland Way journey. Last time on my West Highland Way journey. I'm back on track. Yesterday when I made that entry on my iPhone, I really thought the game was over. And this is one of my favourite sections of the West Highland Way. Just enjoying a 360 view of my homeland, my kindred homeland. This has arguably got to be one of the most remotest sections on the West Highland Way. I'm just north of Bar Bridge. But that's what the West Highland Way brings you. It brings you to places on foot that you whiz by in a car and you don't have a chance to breathe and taste and smell. And the reward is also much greater when you've done it on foot. When you know that every little step has brought you to a place like this. And actually, I think this should be the end of the West Highland Way. But it's not. That lies 2 days head into the town of Fort William. Welcome to the Devil's Staircase. Well, there's no devils, but it certainly is a climb, and it certainly helps to have walking poles. And this is definitely the highest ascent on the entire journey, surpassing Conic Hill, which we unfortunately couldn't go over due to closure. But it certainly is the highest ascent, so looking forward to catching the views when I get to the top. The Devil's Staircase is a 550 metre ascent, and although it's not difficult, certainly in winter, you're definitely entering a mountain environment. The staircase was given its ominous name by the men who built it, back in the road building programme initiated by General Wade, to suppress those uprisings in the Highlands. Indeed, in the early 1900s, the staircase lived up to its name, claiming the lives of the men involved in the construction of the Blackwater Dam in Kinnocleaven. The men would often use it as a shortcut in those dark winter nights as a way to get back from the pub at King's House. Nonetheless, on a fine day like today, the views from the top definitely warrant the climb. Well, I just survived the devil and his staircase, and then I forgot there's another ascent up to the saddle. It's not over. So do not think that when you get on top of the staircase that you are home and dry. You are not. That's not too bad. I'm playing it up for the camera. It's called False Jeopardy. Certain TV channels that we shall name anonymous that I have worked for love it when we would set something up just so it looked hard, when actually 100 metres off of camera there was a bridge or an easy way around. But no, our presenter would have to go the hard way, pretending it was 10 times harder because it looked good on camera. On the West Highland Way there is no False Jeopardy. It's either easy or hard. This is somewhere in between. Should we go and do it? Come on. The camera doesn't want to move. Come on. You have to go, camera. You're fixed to my arm. Come on. Okay, we'll go. No, it's all good. Let's get going. Let's get going. Let's get going. None of this silliness. It's not a holiday. This is a serious mountain trek. Come on. Certainly, the way down off the staircase into the town of Kinnocleaven seems to take forever. Like me, if your intentions are to wild camp, then you're better off finding a spot before you reach the town. Otherwise, you may struggle to find places to discreetly put your tent. I made it just about 1 mile short of Kinlochleven, which I will do tomorrow bright and early again. I quite like that, bright and early. Can't believe I'm saying that. Anyway, found a nice little spot by a wee burn and a river. Not sure the name of the river. Could be Kinloch River. Anyway, I'm going to put the tent up. I feel a little bit of drizzle in the air, and I met some walkers on the way, and they told me tomorrow's going to be a very wet day. So let's get the tent up nice and quick, and then tomato soup. That's the plan. Same as always for the last 7 days, 8 days. Time has disappeared into the yonder. I have no idea. I think it's about 7 days.
Time had certainly disappeared, but then that's the beauty of being alone on the way. You only have your thoughts, sights and sounds of the world around you to occupy your mind.
The last major push until my end goal, Fort William, some 16, 17 miles away. So my aim is to go through the town, a little bit of climbing, then head out in the hills, find a place to camp, and then tomorrow just do the last little push into Fort William. The weather, well, the weather is what the weather is. It's a little bit drizzly. It was predicted to be quite heavy rain, but I'm more than happy with this if this is the worst that it gets to. And looking forward to completing my last few stages. So I think I better get going. Let's go.
Kinnocleaven is the penultimate destination along the way, and of course, if needed, it has most facilities that you can imagine from a large village. Kinnocleaven was established in the early 1900s as the site of the Blackwater Dam. The dam's purpose was to generate hydroelectricity for the massive aluminium smelting site. The plus side of all this hydroelectricity was Kinnocleaven became the first community in the world to be fully connected to the electrical grid. But for me, leaving all this behind, my sights were set upon the high Larick Pass.
The ascent out of Kinnocleaven onto the Larick Pass is probably, if memory serves thus far, the last big climb. It's through woodland, as you can see. It's quite nice, but it does have this effect of, will it ever end? Simply because you can't see your end goal. But I know that on a normal sunny day, the rewards at the top are worth it. So let's just see how much further it is. They certainly have improved the track since last I was here, at least 10 years ago. So it does seem to be a little bit easier than I remember. Not so bouldery, but anyway, it's still an ascent nonetheless. Let's keep on going.
Again, like much of the West Highland Way, the Larick Pass owes its legacy to the military roads, with its main purpose to connect Glencoe to Fort William. The pass does feel remote and takes you up to an altitude of over 350 metres. It's also peppered with the remains of the past, none more so than the ruins of Larick Moore.
Well, the weather certainly has come in. It's obviously quite wet, windy, and actually quite cold. The coldest day I've had so far, actually. And still heading towards Fort William. Probably about another 5k, 3 or 4 miles to go before I strike camp somewhere. And these ruined settlements along the way, and this is the first and there's a second one about a mile down the track, remind us that people used to hark out a living in these parts, and how tough life might have been. Mind you, this was the main communal road between Kinnocleaven and Fort William, so it probably was quite a bustling community, but not anymore. They're left to the elements of the sands of time. I'm not quite sure at this moment why they were left. I'm sure it's in my guidebook. I'll have a little look later. It's a bit wet to get my guidebook out, but I'm sure it was either the clearances that drove people or just a change of lifestyle. I'm not quite sure, but I'm sure I'll read up on it later. But nonetheless, it's still a beautiful environment to be in. It's a shame I can't get the drone out and show you more of the vistas, but nonetheless, you certainly get an appreciation of what today is bringing, and I'm still loving it even in this weather. We've finally come down off of the high pass, and this kind of the weather's given a little bit of respite for the next, I don't know, 5 minutes. So I thought I'll quickly get the vlogging camera out and update you. I'm 10 miles out of Fort William at this point, and I'm looking for a suitable campsite in which to pitch, and I'm hoping, I'm hoping that when the time comes to put that tent up, it's not raining, and then I can at least put the tent up in the dry. I don't care when I'm in it, but anyway, we shall see. But the heavens beginning to rain again. I can feel drizzle on my bald head, my early detection system, having no hair, and we'll see how we go anyway. Let's plan for dryness, that's all I can say. Five miles or so short of my end goal in Fort William. And for me, although this sounds like a closing statement, because of course it isn't, still another 5 miles to go, there's something special about doing the West Highland Way. Just being able to be in contact with nature, journeying forward, journeying north, is something that is very, very rewarding to me. And it's something that I will keep on coming back to. Returning to my ancestral home in Scotland and just being out in the great outdoors is such an invigorating and uplifting experience. I guess when I reach Fort William, there'll be mixed emotions. Glad that it's finished, but sad that my time on its path has come to an end. This isn't a closing statement. That will be tomorrow in Fort William. But until I reach that goal, this feels good. This feels like a good place to be. An early start on the last day of my journey along the West Highland Way to Fort William, and I just wanted to highlight an important junction point, really, I guess, because at this point here there is the ability to access a public road. So if you were having problems or you really had run out of time, you could possibly arrange a taxi or something at this junction point. For me, my route will continue along the official West Highland Way route, through some foresty areas, through some ups and some downs, and hopefully, if the weather allows, the glimpse of the majestic Ben Nevis, the highest point in the UK, the highest point in Scotland, at 1,344 metres or 4,406 feet. Oh, it's too early for maths in the morning. So anyway, nearly at the end. Hopefully the weather's going to hold out, and it's going to be a majestic way to end a fantastic 10 days on the West Highland Way.
As Fort William slowly ebbed forward, I really enjoyed the extra time that this trip had allowed. Obviously, we all have commitments and time is always a valuable commodity. But by having the 10 days and using my guidebook, this journey had allowed me to really immerse myself, something that I can only but recommend.
As I walked along the track, I noticed this little upright stone with some rocks surrounding it. Many people will just walk by and just perhaps not understand its consequence. But I have the feeling, of course I could be wrong, that it could be the remains of someone's ashes. A lot of people find a lot of natural spirituality in the Highlands, perhaps because they were Scottish or perhaps because they felt, like me, this is their home. And I know when my grandfather passed away, who was from Edinburgh, I too left a small monument in the hills of the Trossachs on a peak called Ben Ann. So I have a feeling that this is a little monument to a loved soul. And the good thing about it is it blends in with the natural landscape, and hopefully no one will touch it and it will remain here for all eternity. So just something I just noticed as I walked by. And I know for myself, without sounding too morbid, I would also like to be remembered like this somewhere in the Scottish Highlands. And I joke to people on the top of Ben Nevis so people can come and visit me in the middle of winter. A good place to be. It is a real shame. I just caught a glimpse of Ben Nevis and she had snow just on the top and the clouds have come in. Just over there is Ben Nevis. I wish there was no rain and no cloud. We'd have got some stunning drone stuff and some beautiful shots. I can't show you what it looks like. I wish I could. Fort William isn't that far now. Nearly home and dry. Well, not literally, but anyway, not so far. And it is feeling cold. It's definitely feeling cold, which explains the dusting of snow on the top.
It was apparent that the problems I've had earlier with my DJI action cameras had returned. But in fairness, it wasn't the camera's fault. I realised I was to blame. By using ND filters to control my shutter speed, moisture had got in. Oh well, lessons learned.
Do I look foggy? I can't see if I look foggy. Hang on. No, I think it's just the way I look.
But on the horizon, the weather did look better, so perhaps there was time for one last drone shot.
And as I look ahead, I can see the approaches of Fort William spreading out into the town of Corpath. Finally, my journey is coming to that close. Have to plan the next one soon thereafter, I feel. Get out there again on the hills. But this time I might bring my old mate Rob Small, who I cycled around Iceland with just a few weeks ago. But that will be another adventure. Let's check out this view over here. Let's see what we can see. Let's see what the horizon brings. Bring me that horizon, mate.
In the distance is the Ben Nevis Massif, At 1,345 metres, it's the highest point in the UK. Although its height doesn't compete with the Alps or other great ranges, it shouldn't be underestimated. But for me, the rewards of seeing it for the first time as your near-end journey feels like a real achievement and an appropriate destination for the West Highland Way. It's also one reason why I've always preferred walking the route south to north. It just seems right.
Behind me, that is the Ben Nevis Massif, part of an ancient volcanic plug, and I wish I had the energy, but I ain't going up there. I've been up there many times and I'm running out of time. Tomorrow I need to head back to Edinburgh, but I'm going to say I've made it, but that final made it is just in a high street next to a man-made plaque. But for me, this is the end of the West Highland Way, with the mighty Ben behind me. But still, that little bit further for the brass bands and the ticker tape that will await me. This is the West Highland Way.
Just off the trail is the Iron Age site of Dundedale, with over 2,500 years of history. The site has been occupied by both the Celts and the Picts. Now, I've never been, and I was hoping to go on this trip, but I needed to get my train back to Edinburgh. So the hill fort will definitely have to wait, but not too long, as it's something I want to do for my channel later on in this year.
I'm on the road again. The road from Glen Nevis into Fort William. It's a wee long trek on tarmac, but it's the end, give or take. Cars, people, double yellow lines for parking restrictions. It's all back to normality. Nearly there, nearly there. There is a vegan cafe that I love in the heart of Fort William. Does awesome coffees and cakes and stuff like that. I hope they are still open. And if they are, my belly is calling. Well, here's something about the West Highland Way. You think it's over, and there's always something to see, something to surprise, something to question, something to look at. And this massive lump of rock is locally named the Wishing Stone. Now, I don't know this for a fact, but I'm guessing, with my limited knowledge of geology, that this is basically really what's called an erratic or a nomadic boulder, and it was basically dumped here at the end of the last, or one of the last ice ages, because this whole Glen Nevis valley is a glacial valley, and these massive pieces of rock were picked up by the ice, by the glaciers, and shifted hundreds of kilometers, some of them. And if I touch the boulder, it is very smooth, and it would appear that it has been eroded by ice. So the locals back in the day were kind of a bit curious how this massive lump of rock kind of ended up quite away from any mountaintop, even to roll down, and probably thought it had magical powers, and therefore hence the name the Wishing Stone. I like the magical powers version. Let's stick to that one. This used to be the official end mile 94. The official end was moved, I guess, in about 10 years ago. And I feel it's in a much better place. It's at the end of the high street, so it drives you through the heart of Fort William rather than just ending at a mini roundabout. So it's probably about another 1.5, 2 miles to go through the city centre, through the heart of Fort William, and then we've reached our official end. But this is mile 94.
I love the town of Fort William. I think it's a fitting end for an incredible walk. It is, of course, the outdoor capital of the UK, not only for Ben Nevis, but you can also use Fort William as a stepping off point for some other great long distance hikes from the Great Glen Way, the East Highland Way, and one of the hardest hikes in Europe, the infamously named Cape Wrath Trail. All of which will be new adventures and films for my YouTube channel, so make sure you subscribe. High Street, like many, has had many challenges in recent years, but I definitely feel it's bouncing back, especially with the new cinema. But now my end destination was in sight.
I am smiling, and the reason why I'm smiling is because I've reached the end of the West Highland Way. I can't believe it. 96 miles, and the walking is over. It has been an awesome 10-day adventure, and I hope you've enjoyed following me on this journey. So if you've liked this film, don't forget to give it a like, give it a share, and please subscribe to my channel, and let's get planning for the next big adventure, wherever that may be.
If you have enjoyed my film on the West Highland Way and are planning your own trip of your own in the coming months, then stay tuned and subscribe to my channel. For in the next video, I want to share with you a few tips and tricks, what I've learned not only on this journey, but many years spent in the hills and the mountains of the world. So watch this space.